Hey little artist, Birdie here, and I am joining you to paint your first project in your little joy box this month. I am starting with the wood door hanger, which is this cute little cactus pot, and he's winking and smiling at us, and this is going to be just a fun painting. So I'm going to show you how I would paint it, but remember to always paint your piece how you want to. Use the colors that you want, use the brushes that are comfortable to you, and really make this your own. So to start, we want to make sure that we have all the tools that we need. We want a rag to clean up any messes and to squeeze out the water from our brushes. We want to make sure that we have an old cup for water and rinsing our brushes. You have your string to hang it, and you possibly already have your little door clip hung somewhere where you're going to display your art. You want to have your brushes out. Your paint palette is handy if you want to try mixing colors and blending different things. And then I have my paints here, and this little tray that your paints come in can also be used for mixing paint. Excuse me, for mixing paint as well. After you have everything done, and then you also want to have a protective tablecloth underneath in case you spill. Painting is super fun, but can be messy sometimes as well. So we want to make sure to protect our table. And you also want to make sure that you're wearing paint clothes or an apron. Okay? So let's get started here. We've got some really pretty colored greens and pink and a yellow. I'm going to start with this dark green to paint the cactus. I'm going to use my large flat brush for this. This large flat brush is really great for painting large surfaces quickly. Now the wood pieces have all of the lines scored into them, meaning the laser cut the lines into the wood. So what that means is we can come in and paint the piece completely with our base coat and then come back and still see our, in this case with the cactus, our pricklies, and be able to just paint over that base coat. So what I'm doing here is just putting my base coat down, my dark green, and we can still see those pricklies coming through because they're cut into the wood. And so after I get my base coat down and it dries, I can come right over that green and add my white or yellow, whatever color I want to use for those pricklies. I'm also going to paint right over his face, so I don't have to worry about trying to paint around that little eye or the mouth. Okay, well, we've got the base coat down. Now before I go on, I'm going to add a little bit of that lime green with this, just to give it some highlights. So I'm going to just grab my brush. I haven't washed it. I still have that dark green on that. I'm going to kind of push some of it off, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the lime green. So I have both colors on my brush, which is going to blend as I brush and give me a mix of the two colors. So what I'm going to do is just kind of bring some of that lime green into my cactus on the side here. And it's just giving me a fun highlight. And we'll add a little bit to the top as well. I'm going to do the same up here. Where the sun is hitting the cactus, I'm creating a highlight there. And you can come back and add a little bit of that dark green and just blend it in. So I'm just brushing over those areas, blending that light green with the dark green. And we'll do it the same over here on this arm of the cactus, blending that light in. Maybe there's a little light hitting cactus down here, so we'll blend some in there. Now I'm taking just some of that dark and blending that light green out and kind of putting a second coat on everything just to get a nice solid green there. Okay, all right. So we're gonna let that dry and I'm gonna work on the pot. So I'm gonna paint my pot white and then I'm gonna come in and paint all of these fun little pattern pieces with a color. Okay, so I'm gonna still use my large flat. I washed the green out and then I squeezed it between my rag here so that my water, so there wasn't any water on it. And I'm just going to paint the entire thing white to start with. There we go. All right, we've got our pot painted. I'll probably come back and add a second coat to that here in just a minute. And let's go add some detail to the cactus up on the top piece here. So I'm going to paint all my little pricklies white. And I've switched brushes to use the small liner brush or the tiny little round brush. So it's got the small bristles at the end. And this allows us to paint in tiny little areas with a little more control. So I'm going to come in and just add the white in those dash marks where the pricklies of the cactus are. I'm also going to add the white to the pricklies that are sticking outside of the cactus. When you're painting small little areas, just take your time and go slow. Don't rush it. And when you're trying to create a tiny little line, make sure that you're using just a small amount of pressure, meaning when you're pressing down on the wood surface or the canvas, whatever it is you're painting, you want to just press lightly. Don't press hard. The harder you press, the bigger the brush stroke will be, making your lines heavier. And you can feel free to add more pricklies if you want, but I'm gonna stop there. So see how that white really just stands out? And you can add a little bit of the green to your pricklies, so we can add just a little green stripe next to our white if we wanted. And I'm just blending that in with the white. And remember, you can always mix colors. You can lighten a color by adding white, or you can darken a color by adding black. You also have your color mixing chart that you can refer to. Okay, so I just added a little bit of that light green to my white paint there, and it just kind of adds some fun dimension to those little pricklies. All right, so I'm going to wash my brush. Now I'm going to get my black out to paint his eyes and mouth. I'm going to wash my lino brush because I want to use this tiny brush for that small detail. Okay. So we've got his little eye that's winking on one side and then a circle on the other side. That's his full eye. And then a cute little mouth. And he's smiling. There we go. Okay. Quick little wash, and we're going to move back down to the pot here. So I want to put a second coat of white because white sometimes is a color that takes a couple coats to get a really nice coverage. Light colored paint usually takes 1 or 2 coats to get a solid color. Darker paints don't take quite as many coats. They're a little bit easier. They have a little more pigment in them, meaning they just cover a lot better. Okay, we've got our second coat of white, so we'll wash our brush. And now I'm going to move to using my medium brush. So my medium round is for doing detail work on medium-sized items. So I have this long stripe right here. I'm going to paint that black. You want to make sure that your white paint is dry before you start this process. Okay, so I've got my black there. And then we've got these little triangles that I'm going to do in yellow and pink. Actually, I think I'm going to do, I'm going to hold off on my yellow real quick. I'm going to do pink and green. So I'm going to start with my pink. And I'm going to paint my first little triangle with the pink. And then I'm going to skip a triangle and paint the next one pink. And then I'm going to skip one and paint the last little triangle pink. Okay, now we're ready to fill in the other triangles with a different color. So I'm going to use the light green for that. Okay, it's looking good. All right. Then let's incorporate some of that yellow, and we're going to do the squares in yellow. So we've got a series of, we have 4 squares down here, or rectangles, I should say. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of this pink in that center little circle. So each little rectangle has a circle in it. And I'm going to add a little pink to that. And these colors are so pretty together. And there we go. And that's it for this one. I think I'm going to add just a few little details here. I'm going to grab my black and just come and add some lines around the edge. I like to just add some detail lines, I call them. fun little outlines. Maybe a couple little dots here and there at the ends of these lines. Just kind of add some fun little patterns here and there. Okay. And then one last thing, I'm going to grab my liner brush and add some white where the sun is really hitting the tops of the cactus here. We've got a little shine on the tops of the arms. Okay, perfect. And down here, you could write your name. You could write, like, my name's Byrdie. I could write Byrdie's room. You could just write a name. You could give your cactus a name. You could write a phrase. Prickly hugs. So that is our little door hanger this month. Just a cute little cactus. And so once everything dries, you're going to take your string, put it through the hole, gather your two pieces. So I'm gathering the ends here, and I'm going to wrap it around my finger and then tuck it through the loop. So I've got this loop right here, and then I'm going to tuck it under and come up from the bottom and pull. And that's going to give us a knot. If you need help creating a knot on the end of your door hanger, make sure to ask for help, because that can be a little bit of a tricky step there. So there we go. And then wherever you have your little clip, your command hook stuck, you'll be able to hang your new monthly door hanger. There we go. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you had fun painting. I know I did. I love painting and playing with color and brushes and all of that. So I will let you go, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.